Hey everyone, I'm John Martin, training here at New Jersey Strength Systems, and I'm making this video as an accompaniment to my article I wrote for them about kettlebell sport lifting and its benefits. So if you're coming here from somewhere else, I'd encourage you to check out the link in the description of this video, and it's going to really demystify some of the reasons we use, the techniques we use, and what their different benefits can be. Alright, so what I'm going to do is demonstrate each of the 3 classical competition lifts. And while I'm doing this, what I want you to do is pay attention to 2 things. One, I want you to listen to my breathing. And second, I want you to watch my form. And even if you had experienced kettlebell lifting before, if it hasn't been for competition, you're probably going to see that these 2 things are going to be different than what you may have been taught. All right? So the first lift I'm going to demonstrate is the jerk. During this lift, athletes are going to clean the bells up to chest level in what's called the rack position, elbows resting on the hips. And from here, they're going to use their legs, hips, torso to launch the bells overhead into a straight lockout position. Right, that's the jerk. Men compete with 2 bells. Women can compete with 2 or 1. If you're using 1 bell, athletes get 1 hand switch throughout their set. So they do as many reps as they can, switch hands as many reps as they can. Again, you can't go back and forth. The second lift I'm going to show you is the snatch. The snatch is done with 1 bell for both men and women competitors. And again, the same hand switch rule applies. As many as you can. Then you'd switch ideally in the middle of the set, although not always, the second hand as many as you can. During the snatch, athletes swing the bell between the legs and then launch it overhead using a powerful hip extension straight into a 1-arm lockout. That's the snatch lift. The last lift I'm going to show you, the long cycle, is very similar to the jerk exercise. Really, it's just a clean and jerk. So each jerk is going to be preceded by a re-cleaning of the kettlebells without touching the ground. All right? This is going to be the most complex of the lifts because there's 2 movements per repetition, and it's going to be the most intense also for the same reasons. Okay, that's the long cycle. Long cycle, like the jerk, women can compete with 1 bell or 2, and the same hand switch rule applies again. As many as you can, and as many as you can. So, if you listened, like I said, and watch my technique, you probably noticed a couple strange things. First is my breathing. I'm taking several breaths per repetition. And the reason behind this is I'm trying to get as much oxygen in my body as possible. What we find in athletic events or in lifting, the longer the event or the set, the more and more oxygen is going to be important for energy production in the body, as well as other things. So if the exact opposite comparison would be if I'm doing a max bench press or squat or deadlift or something like this, I might hold my breath, I might use a Valsalva maneuver, and that's fine, and I can get away with that because it's a very short time frame. But and even if you're lifting sets of 5, 10, 15, you're not lifting for terribly long, so different breathing patterns are acceptable. But here, I'm lifting for 10 minutes straight, so I need to get as much oxygen in my body as possible, and that's why I use that continuous rhythmic breathing pattern. The other thing that does is it helps regulate my heart rate and keeps my heart rate low throughout the set, or at least stable. The way my coach Ken Blackburn really explains all this is he says kettlebell lifting is really like this bridge between aerobic and anaerobic conditioning. And that's a really good way to look at it. It's obviously anaerobic. I'm lifting pretty heavy weights several times, and you know, it's very explosive, but at the same time, there's a long duration, so there's that oxidative component as well. The other thing you probably notice if you're watching my form is if you have experience lifting kettlebells for power or strength, whatever, you probably notice I'm trying to do as little work as possible. It's especially evident during the snatch. It's supposed to be very graceful. And the reason behind that is you kind of think of it as comparing kettlebell sport to marathon running or some kind of distance running. If I put too much energy or too much power into my set early on, same thing as like running, if I come out of the gates and for a marathon in a sprint, I'm wasting energy. And really the goal here is to survive the 10 minutes and do as many reps as possible. So even if I'm just throwing the bells up too fast or too hard, each repetition there's going to be wasted energy, and halfway through my set, maybe further down the road, I'm going to have to really start to slow down. Same way as if you're running and you come out in a sprint, you're going to either hit the wall or really have to pull back in order to keep going. So again, kettlebell lifting is really high endurance lifting. So those are the 3 competition lifts. Again, check out the article I wrote, follow the link in the description, and it's going to talk a little bit about the benefits. And one last thing, I know these lifts, and if you're not interested in kettlebell sport, I know these lifts look intimidating. They're very explosive, they're all overhead, but these same principles can be applied to other types of lifts that aren't overhead, things that are a little bit simpler to do, and you can get a lot of the same benefits. So check out the article. Again, thank you for watching.